All right, we are back again doing it. And we need to come up with a little catchphrase or something to start off our shows. If you got one, make sure you send it to us and let us know. It's too late. We're doing this, going crazy.
Oh,
Um, hey, you know what? Repping the gear. I got my Nogales High School gear on. I know you're rocking something too. I see it
you
over
know what?
there.
It's the Grande football, man.
It's a Grande. So, hey, once again, if you have a school and want us to kind of rock the gear, make sure you send it, let us know. Or if you see us out there, go, hey, look, I got a shirt for you. And make sure Big Daddy Dan gets, gets one of these shirts too. I'm going to make that name stick,
Uh,
bro. It's going to
I,
stick.
hey, you know what? If you can be my guest,
Hey, whatever. So, here it is. We're doing the show, the wrap up show for this week, the first week for all the 6, 5, and 4A football programs. And me and you got to go out this Friday, and we went out to a gunslinging freaking game.
um,
We got to, we got to go check out the Mountain View versus Tucson High game, and go ahead and venture with me here. Let them know a little bit of what you saw.
well, first off, if we're talking about any type of gear, I think I want one of these Mountain View fan horns that they have because if you were there on that side, of the stadium, it sounded like we were at a soccer match. Just them horns blazing every time Tucson had the ball. But as far as the game goes, man, I think you got to respect both teams, the fight they put in. I mean, Tucson looked like they had the momentum going into late in the game. Um, and then somehow Mountain View just stuck around to pull it out there. But I think I was really impressed by both offenses, both defenses. I know we had one of the parents on the Tucson side kind of tell us, like, hey, you know what, that Mountain View run game, that we saw the film, it might have been something to kind of look at. And it definitely played a factor in that ball game. But at the end of the day, I mean, when you come down to a game-winning field goal, I think me and you spoke about it through out the our little live feed there. Not intentional. We're just gonna go
Right.
on for a few minutes, but the game kind of got real interesting real quick, so we just kind of kept it going. But Tucson, I think had a about a 30-40 yard field goal attempt went right, happened to get a penalty, got another chance at it, and then Mountain View blocks it, and we're going to overtime. So, first time that I've got to be in the stands for an overtime game like that, probably since Santan Foothills and Florence went at it. And I think at the end of the day, it was a good one there. Tucson got the ball first, scored, but happened to get the field goal blocked again. And that's what we're talking about today is next drive, Mountain View gets the ball. First play goes in, and at first I thought the Mountain View field goal attempt didn't go in, but it kind of knuckleballed in there, and the referees called it good. And 21-20, I mean, was your final there.
Right. I'll tell you what, if you're going to start off a season, that's the way to start it off. Um,
Absolutely.
you know, two great programs like we talked about. Um, I just think it kind of showed that, hey, look, Mountain View, it was trying to put a staple point there that, hey, they deserve to be on the strong region as well. Um, especially as we go over some of these scores, maybe they should have taken that strong region over some of these other teams that kind of struggled this week, being that only two of the teams out of that region actually won this week. We know that too. So I mean, it's step up here in the situation. I'll tell you what. I mean, both these teams well coached. That was the kind of game. Literally, you want. You're right, dude. Those harmonic horns were something different, bro. They were blaring. Guys, if you haven't seen it, you can actually watch that on my Facebook page. I did stream it on there. Go check it out. We didn't expect to do it, but it looks like that might be something that we're doing maybe on a weekly basis. We may go out and just stream them that way. Just kind of kick back and chill in the sit back chairs. And I'll tell you what, those things were amazing too, man. I mean, like, we're kind of living large that night. So hey, great game, great seats. That's the way it went. Um, we're going to jump into this. We're going to go from our 6A team, obviously, that did have an impact with our 5A regions, and obviously some of our 5A games played some 4As as well or whatnot. So we're going to look at these scores. We're going to run through them, and we got a lot of stuff to talk about. Here's our 6A, 5A, 4A. So let's get into them. We're going to start off with obviously the game we just mentioned, which was Marana, who comes, and obviously last year came in upset at Salpointe. Doesn't look like it was strike back, even though it was another clincher here to the very end. As you have 18-20, Salpointe does take the win. They go 1-0 for the season. The Tigers go 0-1. But go ahead and break down a little bit about those key players for the game.
You know what? I think you got to look at both quarterbacks. Colton Meyer from Marana, 28 for 43, 260 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then Matthew Avalar went 13 for 20, 175 yards and 1 interception. The one thing I'll probably take away from this is maybe Marana doesn't have a kicking game this year to kick extra points because if you do the math, 3 touchdowns and no extra points only get you 18 points. Where maybe South Point had a couple of touchdowns, couple of field goals there, so maybe that's a difference. I know last year Marana had a great kicker that I believe graduated, if I'm correct, right, Chris?
I'm
So
good.
it yeah, so that that would be one of the things to kind of look at going forward for Marana is if they can don't have a kicking game and can't convert on those 2 point conversions, it probably definitely played a factor in Friday night's game.
Let's see it. The other thing here is obviously one of the Roebucks. Once again, they reoccur. One of them obviously going off to University of Washington, but looks like the Roebucks got another one kind of coming right
Oh
up
yeah,
there as
Sean.
well. Yeah. So good stuff. I mean, obviously on that game, hands down. We're gonna go over to the next game here. Uh, and that one's going to be Buena versus Cienega. Obviously, Buena coming in looking kind of hot. A lot of stat leaders on this one. We'll talk about them in just a second. But a little closer game than I think both of us would have predicted on this game here. Obviously, Buena goes 1-0 while Cienega takes the loss here. But go ahead and who's your key components here?
Oh, for Buena, it got to be Ricardo Brooks, 10 carries, 143 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Didn't have a lot through the air. As you see, Caleb Layton only went 4 for 8 for 88 yards and got a touchdown. But how about on the defensive side? Cooper Kraus, 13 tackles, 2 forced fumbles, and 2 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, and 3 quarterback hurries. He's always a presence on the defensive side of the ball. And then you look over at Cienega, Julian Hanley, 20 for 32, 255 yards and 4 touchdowns. And his favorite target, Jaden Rogers, 9 receptions, 151 yards and 2 touchdowns. So a team that's going to be very dependent on their passing game. And I think going forward, both teams, if I think Buena can get a little more of a passing game going, definitely going to benefit them. And Cienega, I think that's one of the things that they key on is having a good passing game. So hopefully that will continue and it'll translate into some wins.
Yeah, here's Cienega, one of those other teams that's sitting there saying, "Hey, look, maybe we should have been in that strong region as well." One of the newcomers to 5A, CDO, comes in. Canyon Del Oro comes in with their first 5A uh, uh, introduction wins. Over Trevor Brown here at 31. A game here that I mean, I'm looking at the score. Kind of wish there was a little bit bigger gap here as well,
No,
especially
you
since
know what? I actually think that score is a little bit off there because I think they shut out Trevor G. Brown 46-0. So that's
okay,
a little correction that I'll make here shortly. So definitely one that we'll update right now.
okay, so
Oh,
46.
my bad on that one.
Okay, 46-0. Okay, so it is a shutout. Okay, perfect. So yeah, that would be and I should have probably known the scores too as well coming into this. Definitely would have expected that kind of more of a lopsided score on this game. Don't these scores I guess were kind of misplaced on it, so I apologize for that, guys. Go ahead and drop some of your knowledge on your stat leaders from this game.
So I think if you kind of look at it, not too much going for CDO as far as a standout player. Peyton Strang went 4 for 8 for 98 yards and 1 touchdown. Ryan Luke, 7 carries for 27 yards and 2 touchdowns. So I'm sure he's that goal line guy there. And then you have Lucas Kochira with 4 tackles, 1 interception, and one that the interception he actually took for a touchdown. So a big win for CDO to start out in the 5A. If you look over at Trevor G. Brown, they made it very difficult for Xavier Garcia, going 7 for 14, 43 yards, and 2 interceptions. And then Frankie Hernandez would probably be their bright spot with 21 carries for 86 yards, averaging 4.1 yards per carry.
And what did you say the score was actually on this one?
I believe it was 46-0, if I'm not mistaken.
Just because I want to make sure we do it right on our show here and get it all wrapped up correctly. So I just went ahead and updated that so people can see that yes, we're here. We're trying to fix our stuff as well. So, all right, next game coming up here was Casa Grande versus ALA Gilbert North. Now, this was a little shocker game for me. Like both of us were kind of like when we were looking at each other on the score on this, it was kind of pretty impressive. Kind of sad not to see that our Casa Grande stats aren't put in here. We'll talk to Coach Luna about that. But obviously, Casa Grande goes to 0-1, where ALA Gilbert goes to the 1-0. Go ahead and at least give some love to ALA Gilbert North, who tends to be a solid program. So honestly, this was a close game, and honestly, I really do. I can respect the ranking that they currently have Casa Grande right now at. So go ahead.
Yeah, definitely a lot closer game than what I saw at the end. Ben Livingston went 15 for 26, 161 yards, 3 touchdowns. But Casagrande was also able to make him throw some interceptions as he ended with 2. And then Weston Powell had himself a great day, 10 carries for 101 yards and 1 touchdown. And then receiver Cam Shepard, 5 receptions, 64 yards, and 2 touchdowns there. But as I was like keeping tabs on the score, going in, sometime in the fourth quarter, it was 28-28.
Right.
So something happened there where I believe ALA Gilbert North maybe got a safety against
Right.
Casagrande. I do know that the Casagrande quarterback did go down sometime in the game, and I believe it was a lower leg injury. So gonna try to get some updates on him, and but I think right now that's where Casagrande's bread and butter was with their quarterbacks. So going to be interesting to see who they have to fill in and what they're able to do on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, because it looks like you're going to start off to a pretty strong season playing ALA Gilbert North like they did.
Mhm.
So we'll definitely get some feedback on obviously that quarterback situation for you guys as Daniel kind of looks into that. Next game here we have Ironwood Ridge versus Catalina Foothills. This was one of the games that kind of started us off. It was a Thursday night game, and we kind of knew that Ironwood Ridge was going to kind of struggle a little bit. We didn't know whether or not how good Catalina Foothills was or coming back or whatnot. Looks like it was a good game, a good matchup here, especially for your first week. Unfortunately, Ironwood Ridge does take the loss here, where Catalina Foot does walk away with a win, making obviously our 4As once again look a little bit stronger than some of our 5As. But I'll go ahead and let you hit some of the key points on this one here as well.
So for Ironwood Ridge, Jaden Martinez was a majority of that offense, going 10 for 17 for 119 yards. But on the ground, he also had 14 carries for 101 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then Pierce Hagel went, only had 2 catches, but turned that into some real great yardage with 63 yards. But on Catalina Foothills side, Jack Cartwright had 5 carries for 33 yards, and Isaac Kirkendall only completed 3 passes out of 10 for 58 yards, but also had 2 of those 3 passes go for touchdowns. So that's where you get the 21 points for Catalina Foothills. And even though they didn't have a great day on the offensive side of the ball, they took advantage of the opportunities they have to put up points.
Jaden Martinez last year when I got to get out and watch him, he's a great scrambler, looks downfield, so I can see how he got that situation. And he's going to be, I think, obviously one of the key components of that program over there at Ironwood Ridge this year as well. Here's the game that we actually got to go to, that nail biter sitting on the side of your seat kind of game, as Ironwood, not Ironwood, but Mountain View takes the victory 21-20 over Tucson High. So Mountain View Mountain View puts the win mark on theirs and takes a blemish over there for Tucson High. We saw this game, so go ahead and drop some of the amazing athletes that we saw.
I mean, you start off with Ion Bryn, 8 for 11, 100 yards and 1 touchdown. Drake Davis, 22 carries, 81 yards and 1 touchdown. One of the dudes that I seen all over the field on the defensive side of the ball was Jason Pogue, which I think he got 10 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, and 1 sack. And he was definitely bringing some pressure all night long. As far as Tucson goes, Derek Mesa had himself a great day, 18 for 25, 168 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then one of his favorite targets, Ezra Spivey, 5 receptions for 62 yards and 1 touchdown. And then they have themselves a dog on the defensive side as well as Dominic Dro, 14 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, and 1 sack. So all around, I think both sides had some key
Mhm.
players on both offense and defense, and it kind of showed at the end of the game just that these two teams are going to give it their all every game.
I'll do an honorable mention just because we were at the game and I saw it myself. Noah Chanez was doing a lot too. He had a great
Absolutely.
game as well. So just wanted to kind of name drop there as well from that direction. But yeah, you're right. Both of these teams had some dogs on their defensive side. I know how you like those defensive guys. So
Hey, you know what? Show them some love, man.
show them that love. All right, next game we got Sunnyside. This one here was a little shocker, even though you're kind of wearing a shirt of depression right now. Um, but we got Sunnyside. Sunnyside beats Vista Grande 27-16. So Sunnyside starts off their season with a win. And go ahead and give us a little touch on some of those athletes that they had up there.
Raymond Duarte, 4 for 7, 77 yards and 1 touchdown. So not a bad day playing quarterback, almost a perfect completion percentage. Aaron Fontes, 11 carries for 41 yards and 2 touchdowns. Defensive side, Aiden Tapia, 6 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, and 2 sacks. As far as Vista Grande goes, you had I believe it's Liwa Tavares, 8 for 13, 111 yards, 1 touchdown and 1 interception to go along with 17 carries. I'm sorry, that's what it should say, for 36 yards and 1 touchdown. And then Vonde Bostis, 2 receptions for 44 yards and the lone touchdown in the air for Vista Grande. It's going to be interesting to see, how both teams carry into next week.
Mm,
Wasn't as far as we talked about Sunnyside being young last year, it looks like that experience is kind of paying off for them coming into this year. Vista Grande losing a lot of players. How are they going to rebound going forward?
yeah. And we're going into the next one here, Desert View versus Sunrise Mountain. I think both of us were kind of a little stunned on this one. We got to take our shots when we choose wrong or say something. But
I was
Desert
going to
View.
say, I picked Desert
Oh,
View to
you did
win.
take him. All
So
right. So
yeah, let's go.
look
Let's go
look
Jaguars.
look at me taking the loss. Meanwhile, Big Daddy Dan over here is taking the win. 38-15. Desert View goes up to Phoenix and gives them a little smack. So they walk away with their first win. And go ahead and talk about some of those Jaguars.
Ryan of Vasa Vilbaso, I'm hoping I pronounced that one correctly. 15 for 19, 138 yards for 1 touchdown. At the quarterback position, Jaylee Abraham, 12 carries for 68 yards and 1 touchdown. And Ryan's favorite target, Anthony Rodarte, 6 receptions for 91 yards and 2 touchdowns. I believe that the Jaguars incorporated a couple of different quarterbacks at the position. On the other side, Sunrise Mountain Cade Cully, 13 for 21 for 94 yards, had 2 touchdowns and an interception. He had a couple of targets that he looked at. Ethan Bogard, 6 receptions for 47 yards, and Tanner Austin, 6 receptions for 45 yards, and caught the 2 touchdowns from Coley.
Yeah. Hey, great job, Desert View, on making me look bad. I appreciate you.
You know what? If I should get a shirt, I think I need to go get me a Desert View
You know
one.
what? You know what? I think Desert View needs to get you a shirt. You're right. All right, here's another one. We got the 4A playing the 5A. Douglas, it comes up to Tucson to play Flowing Wells, and it was not in their favor. Looked like a long trip back home as they lost 10-56 here. Flowing Wells with a pretty strong victory. I'll go ahead and let you break this one down as well.
All right. Ivan Higuera, 4 for 10, 69 yards. Caesar Gaxiola, 9 carries for 53 yards and 1 touchdown. Of course, shout out some defense. Matthew Hudson, 5 tackles, 1 interception, and 1 fumble recovery. For Flowing Wells, didn't have too much through the air. I don't think they needed it. Benicio Reese went 3 for 5 for 77 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. Jaden Simmons, 10 carries, 171 yards, and 3 touchdowns. And another defensive guy, Xavier Gaigan, 5 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, and 1 sack. So if you look at Flowing Wells, all did a lot through the ground as far as this game goes. Hopefully they'll be able to continue that because, like I said, I have a lot of faith in this team this year to kind of make a run in that 5A Southern region.
All right. And we got here, it's Maricopa versus Mountain Point. Um, this one here, we kind of predicted to go kind of this direction. We saw it. Maricopa obviously takes the loss here, 8-34. I'll let you go ahead and kind of touch base on this. You know a little bit more about Mountain Point and also as well, Maricopa being one of your Pinal County schools as well.
Yeah, so Maricopa runs a lot through Jose Cardona Jr. As you see, 10 for 17, only 79 yards through the air and 1 touchdown. But also had 9 carries for 84 yards and was averaging about 9.3 yards per carry. His favorite target, Ruben White, 4 receptions for 57 yards and the lone touchdown for the Rams. As far as Mountain Point goes, Jordan Munoz, 7 for 9, 99 yards and 2 touchdowns. Sonny Norwood, 4 carries for 49 yards and 2 touchdowns. And lastly, Jalen Coulter, 8 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, and 1 sack. So not a lot of stats when you kind of look at the big final score here, but I think Coach John Roberts and his staff did what they needed to do to pick up a big victory here. So kudos to him and congratulations on the first win over there at Mountain Point.
Yeah, so like good games, like we've been talking here. Another one that's going to pop up is obviously our big upset, at least for some people. I went the route where I'm showing off my shirt right now for this game, as Nogales actually comes up with the what they would say is probably an upset, 29-6 over Amphi. So the Apaches start off with a big W in their bracket. So I'll go ahead and let you talk about this one.
Well, first off, congratulations to Nogales. I think the first win since 2022, if I'm not mistaken. So a big losing streak snapped there on Friday. Philip Guijada Jr., 6 for 11, 75 yards and 1 touchdown. Ricardo Sanchez III had 19 carries for 74 yards. And Mario Gomez, 9 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, and 1 sack on the night. But overall, just a big congratulations to the Apaches because I know it's been a long time coming, and finally that weight's off the shoulders for Nogales and that school as a whole.
Yeah, definitely a big bonus for them to kind of get that out of their way and so on. Okay, here, and we're gonna just jump right into talking about this here in just a second. So Yeah, a lot of good games coming out of there. And now we did have some of the 5A games. We had some of the 4A games in there, and also some of the six as well. We are going to kind of drop down into just our 4A game kind of covers the one that remain just here in a second. But was there, like, I know we talked about obviously the Tucson High uh and Mountain View game. Was there another one in there that you're like, wow, this was one of those games that, you know, the Salpointe game, Salpointe versus Marana, that was a great game if you were out there watching that one. How about anything else that you saw?
You know what? I think the biggest one was the Buena and Cienega game.
Okay.
Especially the struggles of Cienega the last couple of seasons. For them to keep it that close against a tough Buena team, I know it's going to build a lot of confidence. Even though they didn't pick up the win, it's definitely a something to build off of. And I just hope that passing game continues to be the shining light on that offense because I think one of the things is if you can have an aerial attack as well as a good run game, it's definitely going to balance out an offense. So I think going forward, it's kind of like, okay, Cienega build on that part. But as far as the Buena goes, I don't think I was surprised as far as the result goes, just how close that matchup really ended up being.
I think one of the things that people are going to have to do is see who we choose for next week, because
Mhm.
I'll tell you what, this can kind of alter little things. I mean, I think I got to sit there and go, "Hey, look, maybe I might not doubt Desert View. Um, maybe I do, question if Nogales might come up with another win or whatever the case might be." I mean, there's a couple things going on here. Nogales plays their rival Rio Rico this week, so a lot of cool things might come up on our next show that you guys might want to come check out and
Mhm.
make sure you tune into. Now just to hit back, going back over to our scores, but these are for the remaining 4A games that kind of happened. Here was a really, positive game, especially for Cholla. They needed it. They're another struggling program that kind of needed to have a good moment, and this is one of them. Also, kudos to their coaching staff over here putting in their stats as well for us. I appreciate that. But Cholla comes away with a 21-6 victory over Yuma, a long trip that's rewarding. So go ahead and speak on some of those players for me if you would.
All right, for Choi, Damian Estrella, 714, 62 yards, finished with a QBR of 62.2. Dom Vuro, 13 carries, 117 yards, and one touchdown. And of course, on the defensive side, Isaac Gonzalez, five tackles for four tackles for loss and four sacks on the night. So, big night for Isaac as well as the Choya team as a whole. Hopefully, it's something that can continue to benefit them, and we might see a few more wins out of Choya.
Keep that momentum going, Choya. Next game we have up here, we kind of predicted a little bit on this one here. Sahuaro goes in and beats Empire 41-3. Um, I, this is obviously a hard struggle for me. I've always sat there and thought that Empire could be an amazing program. Unfortunately, where it sits is probably one of its biggest struggles between Mica Mountain and Cienega. But I'll say this too: Coach Al deserves all the praises. He's been working on those Saguaro Cougars for quite some time now. It's been a couple of years here, um, and he's got them firing on all cylinders right off the bat. So it's good to see him. Go ahead and talk about some of those. I mean, it looks like the quarterback had a great stat or right off the bat as well. So go ahead and share.
Yeah, Trevor Egerton, 12 for 15, 167 yards and three touchdowns. Isaac Lugo, a big game on the ground, 13 carries for 147 yards and averaging 11.3 yards per carry. So a first down on almost every rush. Brian Williams, five tackles, one tackle for loss, and one sack. And then you go over to Empire, kind of struggled on the offensive side, especially in the passing game. Austin Taylor went 12 for 21 for 35 yards and three interceptions. Pedro Felix, seven carries for 28 yards. And Alan Warden had two receptions for 31 yards. So definitely want to see Empire be a little bit better on the offensive side, especially taking care of the football. Can't afford that many turnovers in a game and expect things to be close.
Yeah, makes it difficult. Next game up here, we got Pueblo against the Rough Riders of Younger. Um, so my coach over here, Coach Slime, very disappointed. Why are your stats not in? They'll get there, I know. But unfortunately, they walk away with a loss. Yonkers gets their first win of the season. It could be interesting how to see Pueblo bounce back on this. But I mean, right now, go ahead and at least show some love to the Yonkers for putting in their stats for the game.
All right, Jeremiah Garcia, he finished 6 for 8, 163 yards. Did throw two interceptions, but had three touchdown passes. Isaiah Hargrove had 26 carries for 154 yards and one touchdown. And Larry Moore, only two receptions, but went for 155 yards, averaging 52.5 yards per reception. So a lot of offense for Yunker. Interested to see what they do in that Phoenix area. Like I said, they usually finish around 500, maybe a little more, a little less. So maybe this might be a year that they can make a little bit of noise in their region.
Yeah. And then we got Cibola versus Rincon University. Looks like this is a little landslide here from Cibola. Cibola walks away with a 42-6 victory. It's always hard when you look and see Rincon kind of struggling the way that they do. I don't know if this is going to be the situation or not throughout the season, but looks like there was at least, hey, they're saying good things. Stats are posted and everything like that. Go ahead and tell us about both the Raiders and Rangers.
Yeah, Xavier Rodriguez had a rough day. Went 3 for 9 for 46 yards and one interceptions. But Daniel Signs had 15 carries for 200 yards and one touchdown. And then Marquez Montag 20 carries for 81 yards and one touchdown. So between the two, 281 yards and two touchdowns on the ground for Cibola. You jump over to Rincon. It was pretty much Jacob Jackson who was carrying the load. He went 4 for 13 for 42 yards and two interceptions, along with 12 carries, 40 yards, and one rushing touchdown. And then Preston Fierco had two receptions for 36 yards. So overall, was probably a struggle for Rincon to get anything going offensively. You throw in a couple of turnovers there, it makes for a rough night for Rincon.
Yeah, I mean, right at home. All right, next game here we have the Rio Rico hops on the road, goes north to Combs, and walks away with a 56, a slaughter over them. Uh, Big shutout on that end of it all. Rio Rico, hopefully they can pull some things out. They do have a obviously we talked about a little rival weekend coming up here versus Nogales, but Rio Rico with the coach Benias, they're starting out the season 0-1. I'll go ahead and let you talk about this one as well.
Yeah, Sebastian Castro went 3 for 7, -1 yards. So interested to see what the passes went for there. Damian Rojas had 7 carries for 20 yards. Joshua Bonilla had two tackles and a 1.5 sacks. So a little bright spot on the defensive side of the ball. For Combs, Cannon Hale went 7 for 13, 70 yards, a touchdown and one interception. And then Branson Moak had 8 carries for 173 yards and four touchdowns. And then lastly, can't forget about the defense. Samuel Pearson, 7 tackles, one tackle for loss, and three sacks. So definitely a big game on the ground for the Coyotes. I know they got to have a lot of players, second and third strings get to play in this ball game. So it's only going to benefit them moving forward. Hopefully, Rio Rico will have a better matchup against Nogales and see them put some points on the board.
Well, we're definitely covering a lot of teams, and I'll tell you what, it makes a good long show sometimes. We got here's the next one here, the little rivalry of Sahuarita, the community. You got Sahuarita versus Walden Grove. Um, Home team or the original old school team, Sahuarita does take the loss here. They lose 10-36. Now, this is a game that actually took 2 days to kind of be done and finished. They started on Thursday. Unfortunately, storm delay put him into finishing off on the second day. Now, my man Jake Allen, coach over there, where's my stats, buddy? But he'll get him in. But to the Red Wolves who get to hold the trophy up at the end of the night, go ahead and drop some of the knowledge on their players that shined on that.
Yeah, we got Gage Abalos went 7 for 12 for 134 yards and a 97.2 QBR. So you always like to see that. Sebastian Gallardo, 12 carries for 159 yards and one touchdown. Dominic Sanchez, 8 tackles, 2.5 tackles for loss, and 1.5 sacks on the night. Like you said, this game started on Thursday, and I believe it was within 3 points in the second quarter. Very close game there. Walden Grove made the adjustments. I know sometimes it's hard to kind of get things going when you have to come back,
Hmm.
replay the next day. So, uh, interested to see what the outcome would have been if they would have been able to finish on Thursday. Maybe we have a different score here, or even a different result. But either way, Walden Grove takes the win here, and I'm sure both teams are going to be fine just moving forward, especially Sahuarita.
Yeah, we're gonna see what happens. Now, obviously, we got the returning champs here popping up in their fashion and saving here. They take the victory over Poston Butte 41-8. So the Thunderbolts start off another blemished-free season. It's already been what over a year plus where they haven't lost a game. So there
Yep.
you go. Um, but there's some key components here. We'll go ahead and talk about them as well.
Yeah, for the Broncos, Easton Faletti, 18 carries, 105 yards, and one touchdown. Not so much through the air. Grady Garner went 5 for 15, 39 yards. And Achilles Leon, 2 receptions for 18 yards. For Micah Mountain, Jaden Chris had himself a day, 10 for 17 for 207 yards and four touchdowns. Wheeler, probably one of his favorite targets going into this year, 3 receptions for 134 yards, and two of those four passing touchdowns. And then you had Logan Brandt, 4 carries for 29 yards and one touchdown. Micah Mountain, I don't think they're going to have any problems going forward, especially with the big win like this against a team like Poston Butte. And Poston Butte, new coach, new system. At the same time, the one thing they struggle in is that passing game, and you see how big of a difference that makes, especially going against a team like Mica Mountain.
Once again, these are great games. Some great, amazing players. We'll even talk about a couple other ones, maybe even here in our stat leaders that we'll be talking about shortly. But my guy Daniel out here is always picking some of who he feels are some of the key players for the week. So we're gonna look at this. We got our 5A player of the week that's coming up here. This is gonna be there. You go.
Oh yeah, I gotta go with Julian Hanley, senior quarterback at Cienega. Even though they had a loss, he had a great game: 20 for 32, 255 yards, and the four touchdowns that we talked about. That makes him ranked fourth in 5A for passing yards, as well as being fourth in 5A for total yards, and is the number one passer in the 5A Southern for passing yards and total yards. So, big congratulations to him. Hopefully, next game's even bigger and it'll turn into a win for Cienega, but couldn't go unnoticed about giving him his kudos for a great game and, just coming up just a little bit short. So there's nobody else I probably could have picked there.
Yeah, big kudos and keep moving up the ranks, Julian. All right. As for our 4A stat leader, this one might be a little shocker. I mean, there's some other opportunities out there to choose, but this was one that I know you sat there and you said, you know what? Gosh darn it. So go ahead and tell us about your 4A pick player of the week pick.
You know what? I think when you look at a team like Cholla that has had more downs and ups lately, you got to acknowledge when they do something, positive, especially picking up a win against an evenly matched opponent like Yuma. So I went with Isaac Gonzalez, sophomore linebacker for Cholla. He ended up with 5 tackles, three solo tackles, 4 tackles for loss, and 4 sacks on the night. The big 4 sacks, I'm sure, is huge, especially being a momentum swinger in that ball game. And it currently ranks him tied for second in Arizona in sacks, and he's the number one sack leader in all of 4A, as well as being second on his team in tackles with 5, and he leads the team in tackles for loss with 4. So, I like I said, there's many players that probably could have been the leading point here, especially on the offensive end. But every now and again, you got to show some love to the defensive side of the ball. And I think those four big sacks are what did it for me. And it's like they got to be able to build on things, and no better way to start than being having a stat line like that on the defensive side of the ball.
Great job, Isaac. So good luck to you. And then obviously here our stat leaders are. So we're going to start off with our passing ones, the top three. Zach Smith actually coming from Arcadia, a team that we didn't really talk much about. That's over there in the Desert Sky 4A. Um, Julian Henley, we did mention that. That was actually you're doing pretty good at this. You gotta like on the other show. If you go back over, you had the top two, I think it was. But
Hmm.
here we are. We're up at the one of the top features here. Julian Henley coming off at 255 yards. So good power there out front of Cienega. And then also Derek Mesa, the game that we were at, Tucson High, he comes up with the third spot for our quarterbacks. So everybody definitely go check those three out. Our next one here is going to be our receiving stat leaders. We have Jaden Rogers coming out of Cienega. He's at 151. 6'2", 175, class of senior there. We also have Evan Wheeler, who's coming out of Mica Mountain. He's got 134, so a little gap there. But those two are obviously kind of leading by some distance over there. And then you have Anthony Rodarte is the one that we had spoke about earlier as well, with 91 yards. So those are your top three. It looks like the battle's starting. Well, we talked about this on one of the other shows as well. That battle underneath 91 is coming. So guys,
Yep.
make sure you stay on the board and keep going. Our next stat leaders here are going to be our rushing receivers, or actually our rushing stat leaders. So we're going to start off with dude, you take a shot at this one, Parker. Or what's the last name?
Kashmarek.
Sure, I'll let you have it. 210, like that guy's a beast. He's gone. Mesquite, one of those other 4A Desert Sky teams that we'll be talking about more going forward in our season. Another one from Combs, which is another 4A Desert Sky. Branson Moak,
Yep.
Moak, Branson
Mo.
Monk. Okay, yeah, at 173, and then Jaden Simpson's over there at Flowing Wells. So there you go, a kid that we didn't even really talk much about, Flowing Wells. I mean, you're talking about, but as you can see, that window is very narrow for those rushing leaders there. So make sure you guys keep putting in the work. You get on here real soon. So hopefully we can see some of these guys kind of keep climbing the charts here. Um, and right here, obviously, we got to talk about our tackle stat leaders. Chris Gallago out of Sunnyside, a team that we hadn't talked about much. Cooper Kraus, we talked about him over there at Buena at 13. And then Catalina Foothills, Madison Johansson, with
Mhm.
12 tackles. I mean, there's some amazing guys here. I mean, like they're all over the place. One of the guys that I know that you had mentioned or you were going to mention as an option or a possible mention on your 4A player of the week. He's way down there on the towards the bottom, but I also know that when these teams are kind of destroying programs, they don't let their players stay long into the game. They kind of go with the other fields. So I'm going to give a shout out to my guy at Mica Mountain, Broden Schmidt. I know that he's a monster, bro. Um,
Mhm.
just got an offer, I believe, at a Division I school recently, I think. But yeah, I mean, and mind you guys, there's a lot of guys above him that deserve to be mentioned as well. But I will say this is that I do know in certain programs they yank their starters out, they don't play the whole games. So that can play a factor on some of this stuff too as well. I wanted to just give a shout there because I know that he had a monster game, and that was actually one of the guys that you were going to, possibly mention on that, right?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
so just want to kind of kudos there, not spot him out like anything special or anything like that, but just want to just doing it. Okay, I'm doing it. It's my show. I'm doing it. So kudos, I mean, when you guys have those programs, and that's something that when we get into stat leaders and stuff like that, guys, understand also the programs that you're playing for. It does make a difference. Some of these teams, like I know, for instance, when my son was playing over at Cienega, it was one of the better teams in Southern Arizona. He'd be out by the end of the first quarter. Some of these guys don't get the full 4 quarters. So, kudos to those who are running up their stats and doing well. Wow. Wow, we got through it. I mean, a lot of games, guys. I know, and that's why we did decide to split up the seasons. And you know what? I was just sitting here going, we're probably confusing the hell out of people by going season, week 1 for all those 2A, 3A. So maybe we should actually align it to theirs since it is a different show. So maybe we'll talk about that as well. Make it a little easier for everybody to understand that it was actually week 2.
Yeah.
But anything else you'd like to mention or anything?
You know what? Stay tuned. Season the next week's coming right up, so we're deciding maybe where we want to go. So check out our show for our predictions, and we'll see what team we decide, or 2 teams we decide to go check out on Friday night. But like I always say, to the coaches that are putting in the stats, thank you very much for that, because it makes my job a little bit easier as far as being able to bring awareness to some of these great athletes. And other than that, just kind of follow along. If you haven't already, like and subscribe to all of our channels on YouTube, Facebook. I do one on Instagram where I get to do a little poll, the day of, to be able to get a little engagement with the players and the students on that end. But yeah, other than that, just kind of keep following along. And, if there's anything else you guys might suggest that we could add to the show, please let us know.
Yeah. I mean, we're trying to do the best we can for you guys. And one of the things Daniel had mentioned is like, hey, look, let's drop some of these names and stats. So for some of these key players each week. So kudos for how we're breaking it down. Let us know, give us feedback. We appreciate everything that you guys, it's your support. That's what makes us kind of get out here and do it. What can I say? I'm hanging out with Big Daddy Dan. Good. Good.
All right, we get to hang out again on Friday. So
right. Watch the sit back chairs, man. Watch the sit back chairs. Like I'm telling you guys, you got to know. Other than that, anything else?
See you Friday.
All right, guys, we're out.
Meet Sitback's Bleacher Seat, the first comfy stadium seat. I'm a parent with kids in sports. I've lived on the bleachers and tried countless stadium seats. I found light seats, foldable seats, hot seats, this seat. I couldn't find a comfy seat, so I made my own. First, it has a tall back with lower back, middle back, upper back, and neck support. It's lined in thick, full-body contoured padding, complete with a head pillow and optimal height armrest with cushions. It has a breathable mesh back, L-shaped folding arms, and its angular design frames your body so it won't block anyone's view. Compact, lightweight, and portable is a must, so we made it fully collapsible with padded adjustable backpack straps. While most seats are fixed, the Sitback's Bleacher Seat reclines into a relaxed position. It was almost complete when I thought, what if I could also rotate the seat? So we added a rear swivel feature so you can fully rotate the seat in any direction and view from the best angle. And there we have it, the Sitback's Bleacher Seat. When I received the first model, I was so excited. There was no pressure on my neck, no pressure on my back. I was floating. Finally, a comfy seat. Now we're ready to share it with the world. Whether you're dedicated parents, sports fans, or event goers, you've invested significant time and money into these experiences. Now get ready to sit back and relax.